All right. Well, let's hop on in. We got a grand finals. It's grand finals time of this week's EPT Asia. And spawning in the lower right-hand corner of Oceanborn, it is Talon's Dark. Fresh off of that win against Nightmare, looking good, looking strong and solid. Also took down Sue earlier on in his ZvZ. So he's warmed up for this matchup against his opponent in the upper left-hand corner, maybe the best ZvZ player in Korea. It is Vitality's Solar. Also had a ZvZ earlier, I think, against Shin, and took him down. So both of these players have played the matchup today. It's kind of nice. Feels like the players are warmed up, ready for the match. Don't get a lot of ZvZ finals here in these EPT Cups. I feel like that's pretty rare. Maybe more common in Korea than in the other regions. Should be entertaining, though. No 12 pools just yet. Do you remember the times, the old times, of Dark and Rogue playing against each other in like 2020? 2020, 2021. Yeah, they would like 12 pool each other, proxy hatches, taking each other's gold bases. So good. There's a 12 pool like almost every single game, and often there were two 12 pools running at each other across the map. It was good stuff. It was good stuff. I miss those days. Bit more standard here, though, between these guys. Both players getting into just ling speeds, very mirrored builds at the time. For the time being, I should say. I do hope we get some ZvZ late game. There's nothing quite like ZvZ late game. It's kind of insane because we get there so seldomly. I feel like players are resistant to it. They're more likely to just stick on Roach Ravager or even Roach Hydra for a long time rather than try to get into Hive and Lurkers and Vipers. And it can be so dangerous to try to tech up because that money you're spending on tech, your opponent just spends on Roaches and you just lose because of it. But when we get there, it's so fun. It's so fun. And I think a big part of it is because we get it so seldomly. Even the best players in the world like make some mistakes in the late game. ZvZ. It does look like what Dark wants to make a big round of Lings here, as Ling Speed and the Bane Nest are finishing up for both players. Dark's going to get a little more aggressive. Solar just building a few Lings back at home. Going to morph a couple of Bane Lings to try to defend this third. I don't think he knows about the Lings coming out just yet from his opponent, but he will start to see Lings spill across the map. He knows he's got to play defensively. Ooh, good catch there for Solar. Stops those Bane Lings from morphing. Dark going to have to re-morph those here. As the Lings come across, there are a couple of Banelings. Solar needs to get over here and defend this third base for sure. I think he's got enough to do so. It's just going to come down to that micro. The Ling Bane micro can be very crazy. Dark has more Lings on the way here as his Banelings dive forward. But they just kind of run through the Lings. I feel like there was a chance there for those Banelings to do something good. They end up not getting too much done. At the same time, some Lings get in over here. For Solar spot, there's no lair or anything, not even a Roach Warren. Speaking of a Roach Warren, Solar's got 6 Roaches on the way. Much more robust unit to defend against what Dark's got coming. Ooh, that's a big mistake there from Solar, though. Dark gets a good connection, and he's going to try to dive through. Baneling goes off, doesn't get a great hit. Feelings make it through, going to target down some drones. Dark is droning back at home, so if he can kill a few drones and make a bunch of drones, he can put himself in an okay spot. He's continuing to get damage on here, too. Grabs a queen. Baneling does go down. He's going to try to get this base. He is going to get this base. Costing him a lot. But he gets the third base, and that is huge. Because Dark's got a third base back at home. The one thing Dark doesn't have that might honestly cost him the game here is the Roach weren't done yet. Because I feel like if Solar just builds units and runs across the map, can Dark hold it? But Dark's, he's not letting it happen. Look at him run around with these lings. He's like, oh, you want to move across the map? Well, then I'll go in then. I'll go into your base. What are you going to do about it? And the answer is Solar is going to stay home. Oh, no, Solar. Leaving one of those roaches on its own. Oh, that's a good Ravager morph. Doesn't quite save it, though. But now Dark, he's got the Roach Warren up. His Evo Chamber is up. He's going to be able to start up +1 missile attacks before Solar. His lair is about the same time as Solar's. This is just looking like a very good game for Dark. The worker count's pretty much even, but with 6 more on the way and this third base, I mean, up and running this whole time, it's just flat out better for Dark. Obviously, losing that third base is a huge hit to Solar's economy and also to his larva count, which can be very important as the game continues on. You don't have that larva to spend on drones or units. It's painful. Roach speed on the way now for both players. I mean, they're heading the same direction. It's just that Dark is 12 workers ahead. And while Solar's a little bit up in supply, I feel like if Dark just commits to Roach production here pretty soon, he's going to be able to make those drones pay for themselves. Solar is moving across the map, and this is kind of a timing for him. He's still up in supply. The problem is his +1 is behind Dark's. So if Solar waits for +1, Dark will have it also. And Dark is just building roaches now. It's going to allow Solar to catch up in drones, but I think Dark's just going to be in such a good spot. I'm struggling to see how Solar gets back into this. I think he needs to do something special, maybe some burrow tunneling claw action or something like that to try to kill some of Dark's economy. Because I feel like if Solar is just waiting for Dark to make a mistake, it's not going to go super well. And now as they both hit 3-base saturation, I feel like we're just going to see a lot of roaches coming out, and Dark's just going to be ahead in that regard because he hit this economy first. All these extra resources are going to go into the roach count. I say that. That's in theory. In practice, it's honestly a very close game right now. There's a Dropper Lord on the way for Solar. So maybe he's going to try to get some Banelings into the mineral line or something. Could be cute. Oh, nice Biles. Gets the Overseer with the Biles. You don't see that very often. Oh, just roaches. Just dropping roaches in. Except the Dropper Lord's been scouted by the roaches of Dark. Oh, no. And he doesn't quite get it. Queen's coming over, though. I don't think 4 roaches is going to be enough to be too scary here. Dark at the same time pushing on the other side of the map. There's that burrow tunneling clause for Solar, but it feels maybe a little bit too late here as Dark is already hitting. Ooh, Solar's going to try to jump on this army, though, trying to get on top of the Ravagers. It's a lot of roaches just running forward for Solar, not actually fighting. And Dark just takes a beautiful fight here. Honestly, yeah, that is just it. GG gets called. And after all that build-up, just comes down to one pretty quick fight. And I think Solar was going to struggle to win no matter what. But trying to micro forward and get those Ravagers, roaches were just running around, tanking damage. Solar could not afford to just be tanking damage there. GG. Feels like it's a pretty straightforward one for Dark. His Ling aggression in that early game really paid off. Getting the third base kill was huge. I think, honestly, if that was a ladder game, I feel like Solar probably just leaves when the third base dies. Maybe he plays it out for posterity's sake, but Amphion is going to be map number 2. See if it goes any better for Solar this time. So we hop on in, join our players here. Spawning in the lower left-hand corner, we have Talons Dark. And his opponent in the upper left. For Vitality, it is Solar. It's really interesting how the way teams function in StarCraft 2 has changed quite a bit. We used to have those, team houses, and the team, like, camaraderie and working together was really important, in the Pro League days. And even after the Pro League days, we still saw a lot of, like, a team culture in Korea especially. But these days, there are still a couple of teams like that. You still have, like, Team Liquid, who I feel like do stuff together. Shopify, Rebellion do stuff together. And there's a couple other teams around. But for the most part, a lot of teams now, we've got just, like, one player on the team. Like, Dark is the only player on Talon. Solar's the only player on Vitality. Twisted Minds has Classic and Stats. And it's, heading towards the Esports World Cup. It's really interesting to see how these teams pick up one player or two players. And then we've got some of the StarCraft fans. I feel like these teams pick up players because of the Esports World Cup, and it can really benefit them to have just the one or maybe two StarCraft players. Then you got, like, Basilisk. Those guys are just StarCraft fans. We just love Basilisk. They're just putting on good stuff for us. Big brain bouts. And obviously they have Cyril, Raynor, Trigger on the team. Roddy coming in representing the old men of the StarCraft world. Shout out to the over 30 StarCraft people. There's a lot of us. Our numbers grow every day. I remember back when I first started watching StarCraft, and, like, there was a couple people who were over 30, but they were, like, the old men of StarCraft. And now, here we are, 13, 14 years later. Now I'm over 30, and I'm the young one. It's cool that we still have young players, though. And there's still players who are, like, actually young. Who was I just casting the other day? Shameless. It's like 18. Eba. It's like 14 or something. Like, still all these, like, really young players playing and being really good. I mean, a lot of our pro players are still under 25. It's cool that even 14 years out, we've got to still have a bunch of young players joining the ranks. Little bits of aggression here, but mostly just cheekylings sneaking in, getting some damage done if they can. Not a lot to speak of in the ZvZ so far. But we do have the Evo Chamber going down here for Solar. No Evo Chamber for Dark yet. Can be really important to keep stock of the difference in those upgrades as the game continues. Talked about that the last ZvZ we're covering, but when you get the +1 missile attack is a really important part of the build. And we see Solar is just going to be very ahead in that regard. Dark still doesn't even have an Evo Chamber to potentially start up +1 at. There it goes. Solar going to be able to sneak in. Ooh, doesn't quite get to see the lair, though. Doesn't have confirmation that there's a lair. And that's important, because if at this point Dark didn't have a lair started, I feel like it would be an attack coming. So that's something Solar's going to want to know. Baneling's really trying to run in here for Dark, but Queens and Roaches keeping those drones safe. I think only one drone went down. Dark is ahead in workers right now, but usually there's a little bit of a back and forth. As I say that, though, Dark got 10 more workers on the way. Looks like he's just going to go up to full 3-base saturation, double gas even down at this base. Solar does have drones on the way as well, but feels like he's just a little bit later to all that. Ooh, he is getting a Spire, though. Kind of cute. He's got the quicker +1 missile attacks as well, so his Roaches will be better sooner than Dark's. Going to make it easier to defend while he gets the mutas out. He's got Roach speed on the way and everything, so it's probably just going to be the Sioux flock of mutas. God, I remember saying that all the time back in the day. We don't say that anymore, do we? The old Sioux flock of mutas, which is like 6 to 8. And you build 6 to 8 mutas. You just get in, try to get some damage done, you know? Kill some overlords, force some spore crawlers, maybe grab a couple of drones or a queen or something. If your opponent tries to attack you, you target down Ravagers with them. Classic stuff. I have no clue why Dark just killed his Baneling Nest. None at all. I imagine Solar is also wondering why the Baneling Nest is gone. Why did he kill his Baneling Nest? What? I genuinely can't think of a reason to kill your Baneling Nest. Did Dark scout the Spire? He did scout the Spire. That is huge. He's also dropping Banelings, getting 6 drone kills as these mutas pop, but he's got a bunch of Hydras coming out too. Oh, this is really nice for Dark. I feel like if you're Dark here, do you just push? I feel like you just push. He's got 10 more Roaches on the way. Maybe he's waiting for the Hydra upgrade. He's got the second one, but wait for that range maybe and go for the push. Mutas are going to be able to find some damage in here if you don't play defensively, but yeah, I don't know, dude. The push is pretty good. There's Spore Crawlers and Queens here. And Dark's just going to send it across the map. Oh my god, the Ravagers out front. Ooh, they somehow don't die. Dark's going to pull back, join up with his Hydras. Splitting a few Roaches off to try to deal with this base while he pushes at the front at the same time. Oh, trying to split Solar's attention. I don't know if Solar has enough to deal with this army. He does have plenty to deal with this little Roach group up here. But Dark is going to dive forward. He's going to grab the Roach Warren, which means no more Roaches can be built for Solar. Is he just going to build Lings from now on, I guess? Ooh, this is not good for Dark, though. He just bunched everything up there and ran forward for a second. Mutas, in the meantime, still getting damage done over here. Solar, he now runs them into the Hydras, but, I mean, these Mutas did a lot of work. Roach is getting killed on the backside, and Solar's taking a big supply lead. He's up 30 supply right now. It's pretty much just in Roaches. He does have a good group of Lings out, which not going to be the most helpful unit in the world, but he had to make them until his Roachborn was done. But he's almost maxed. I feel like Solar can counterattack here. Oof. Did some more mutas get made? There's still 5 mutas out, and I feel like, yeah, 5 have died, so a few more were made. Try to keep that muta count up to a decent spot. Solar's coming across, though. He said, oh, you forced me to build a bunch of Lings. I'm going to get Bane speed then and build a bunch of Banelings. Baneling's going to be quite good against the Hydras. And honestly, this many Banelings, not terrible against Roaches either. Flash damage is pretty good. Oh, and there's Bane Speed finishing up. Hydra's got to pull back and try to split as the Banelings roll through them. They're so squishy, but Roaches and Hydras coming in here as well. Banelings come back over. Oh, I think Solar's got too much. Oh my god, that fight ends up being so good for Solar. And yeah, that is just going to be it here. Solar overruns. GG gets called. And well, I think Dark was in a good spot for a portion of that game. I guess I was wrong. Pushing across with the Roaches and Hydras was not the play. Now we're all tied up going into a game number 3. All right, here we go. We have a theory for killing the Bane Nest. He kills the Bane Nest to make it easier to move between bases. It's a small thing, but top Zergs do it fairly consistently in the matchup once Banes become useless. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I guess I can see moving between those bases being important enough to want to kill that Baneling Nest. Still feels like a weird choice. Like, I get it, but also I don't know. I don't know. I mean, having the Baneling Nest ended up working out really nicely for Solar in that game because he didn't kill his. So he was able to morph all those Banes at the end. Imagine if he had to build all those Lings and then he couldn't morph Banelings. That'd have been painful. Let's get into game number 3 here. We're on Alcyone, and spawning in the upper right-hand corner, it is Talon's Dark. And tying it up, bringing us to 1-1. On the lower left, it is Vitality's Solar. Yeah, I mean, I do think moving between the bases is very important. And we see that happen a lot where there's like a, partial wall here and the units just trickle through one or two at a time. It takes them forever to get back into the main base to defend a drop or a Nidus or what have you. I can definitely see the reasoning for that. Now Dark is going to start off nice and spicy here. Mining through the minerals, getting the cheeky gold base. We'll see if Solar gets a scout on this. Imagine he will eventually, but I guess the question is, what is Dark going to do with this? Kind of imagining roaches, but many options are there. Drone's going to start Maynarding their way down here. And of course, Dark knows his timings. That Overlord is not going to be there in time. Solar is going to go in with the Overlord and spot that there's no hatchery. And I assume he will immediately think that actually he's going to scout this first before he sees no hatchery. I like the way you're droning. No hatchery. I like to roach you up, roach you up. That's one thing I don't do as much when I'm not tired, is sing when I'm casting. But when I get sleepy, the songs just get right into my brain, and it just happens. Whew, Solar dropping the Bane Nest. But it is going to be Banelings here out of Dark, Lings and Banes, and as Solar scouts this base, that's what he's expecting. He's just going to try to defend with his own Lings and Banes. I think that's a good call here for him. Dark is, of course, going to have a little bit more money from the gold base, but he did take a big dip in economy there, sending all the drones down to that base, So it's going to take him a minute to build back up, build back better, or something like that. Solar's going to head across, see if he can't get something done with his Lings. Ling speed is a little bit ahead for Solar. So this could be really nice. Yeah, he's going to have like 10 seconds where Dark does not have Ling speed. I was very close, about 9 seconds. Oh, but Dark with the wall. Look at him with the wall. Baneling only trades for 3 links. Not the best trade there. But we got links coming in from the backside for Dark as well. As Solar's trying to bust through. He is really trying to bust through. Does Dark have more Banelings here at all? Yes, he does. There they are. Coming in from the backside. Ooh. Solar took a really nice trade there, though. Killed 4 of Dark's Banelings and a handful of links for just a couple of his own Banes. I think Solar's gonna, or Dark's gonna have enough here to hold on. He does lose the Queen, which is painful. But he still has 2 Queens down here. He's got the Spine Crawler at this base, just in case any links try to sneak down here. Solar continuing the aggression. He's trying to take the fight to Dark. Oh, he's going to try to move down here and get onto this base. But 2 Queens and a Spine Crawler here are going to make it really tough for Solar to get any damage onto this base. Dark seems pretty buttoned up back at home. That's a good trade for Dark as well. And Solar's going to have to start his journey home for now, trying to turn around and cause some problems with Lings. This is distracting Dark's Lings. They're chasing. Now Solar's going to be on the defensive as Lings and Banes come up here for Dark. Ooh. Oh, nice pop there for Solar. Gets a few Banelings for not much trading. The Ling Bane micro, always the fun part of these little knife fights here. It's crazy. Always one moment away from taking a bad trade. And then we see a bunch of Banelings getting popped on both sides. Not a lot of Banes here for Dark on the defensive now that Solar feels like he can push back across. Solar is up in army supply, but a lot of it really does come down to how those Banelings connect. There's Lings and Banes on top of this ramp, as well as Queens. The Queen's holding strong. Solar's going to turn around and head down towards this base. Again, that does have 2 Queens, a Spine Crawler, as well as some Lings and Banes at it. The Bane gets popped, though. Only 1 Baneling left. Can it get the connection? Yes, it can get a massive connection. Oh, and I think Dark's going to be able to hold this. No problem. The Spine Crawler is getting hit. Where are Dark's Lings? They're heading across the map. Oh, my God. They're not here to defend. But the Spine Crawler and the last Queen do stand strong. And Solar is going to be forced to tap out as he spent all of his money on the aggression. And it was not successful in that instance. Good defense there from Dark. That 1 Baneling popping at that gold base and killing all the Lings surrounding it, I think that genuinely won Dark the game. I think he might have won anyways, but that, like, sealed it. Because suddenly that gold base no longer was in much trouble. Just a few Lings hitting it. And Dark's gold base aggression pays off. Bit of a cheeky, cheesy play, you might say. But then Dark is a bit of a cheeky, cheesy player when he needs to be. I was hoping we get a late game ZvZ, but it doesn't look like it's in the cards. Shockingly, neither of the players want to play late game ZvZ. All right, Site Delta is going to be game number 4. This is match point. Can we get a game 5? Solar was Terran. That's it, Dark wins it. No. No, no, no. Just a simple mistake. All right. He picks Zerg this time. We're good. Well, the sun's coming up. It is 5:30 in the morning. People going to work out there. It's always something special about staying up through the night and watching the sunrise outside. It's a good time. It's a good time to be awake. All right, let's get into game 4 here. Spawning in the upper left-hand corner of Site Delta, we have Talon's Dark. And he is on match point in this ZvZ finals. His opponent in the lower right for Vitality, it's Solar. Needs to win 2 in a row to close this out. Oh yeah, I'm feeling the sleepy times. I was thinking either after this I would get some breakfast and like a coffee and then cast Europe, or after this I would sleep for 6 hours and then cast NA. And I feel like I'm leaning towards sleeping and casting NA. NA is usually, I feel like, the best tournament too. It's really interesting because like the EPT Cup Asia bracket is always really small but really dense. Like there'll be 20 players, or what was it today? There's like 24 players in this bracket today. Yeah, 24 players in this bracket today, and like 16 of them are really, really good. Honestly, maybe even more than that. Maybe like 18 are very good. Something like that. Very good players. And then Europe will have like, I don't know, how many signups? Like 85 signups or something. But it'll still just be like 18 of them that are really good. And then you've got a lot of people who are just, you know, just having fun. Just playing various levels. Could be gold, diamond, masters. And then NA, I think, is usually a little bit less people than Europe. But you get like this cool combination of European, Korean players, and the North American players will show up. And you still have some amateurs and some like semi-pros in there. I don't know. I like the American bracket the best, I think, of all three. You think the chickens are getting up now too? They probably are. I do live in the middle of a city, so I don't think there's any chickens awake near me. I am very far away from chickens. I assume, I don't know, maybe somebody in my apartment building has chickens. It's a pet-friendly building. Could be, could happen. All right. Let's take stock of this game. Just been keeping an eye out for anything exciting going on. Not much happening here. As we're once again very mirrored between these two. Neither player seems super keen on aggression right now as we're getting into Roach Warrens. No Evo Chambers down for either player. Still not showing that +1's going to start up. I don't think we've seen like a proper Roach versus Roach between these two just yet, so maybe we'll get that this game. His game 1, there was Roach versus Roach, but it was like Mutas happening for Solar, and then he had like Roach Ravager versus Roach Hydra, and then he inadvertently had to build a bunch of Lings, so he made Banelings, so it got a little weird. It was very non-standard Roach v Roach. But this game is looking very standard Roach v Roach, as both players are now dropping their Evo Chambers. Both players just building a lot of roaches. Not going for a lair, not worrying about roach speed, just building roaches. Dark is getting aggressive with his roaches, but as soon as he sees units from Solar, he just backs up. He does have a lair on the way. His Evo Chamber's done, but he hasn't started out +1 yet. Maybe more focused on roach production. As I say that, there's +1. Solar has not started a lair or his +1 on the Evo Chamber. He is just building roaches right now. And it feels like maybe Solar's just going to get aggressive. I think he has to. I think Solar has to attack. The Dark's spending a lot of money on stuff that will help him in about 2 to 3 minutes. And Solar is going to hit before 2 to 3 minutes. So this is going to be... This is going to be a problem for Dark. He's down a lot of supply right now. 46 to 83 army supply. That's a bit of a difference there. And Solar's running across the map. Baneling's being morphed just to get any extra damage he can. There are a couple spine crawlers coming up, but those are not the strongest here against Roach Ravager. And Solar's going to push in. Dark's +1, nowhere near finished. Doesn't have a great concave here, but does have a little bit of a concave as he dives forward. Tries to get on top of Solar. Spine Crawler is finished. Can help out a little bit. Oh, the Vials are really nice here for Solar, though. Queen's coming down as well. 13 drones going down during all of this, so the worker count is now even. I feel like Solar's just going to push through this, man. He is so much more army supply. And Dark is just... He just doesn't have enough. Can he hold possibly until +1 is done? Maybe that'll give him a chance. I don't know if that's a big enough deal, though. Solar now has a nice concave here. He's got reinforcement lings coming in. He is just flooding Dark. Yeah, and Dark is just not going to have enough. As he falls down to 20 army supply, GG gets called. Solar takes it with a very aggressive hatchery-based roach push. Sometimes the simplest thing is the best. And Solar just very straightforward decided to build a bunch of roaches and run across the map. And that's what's so crazy about ZvZ. How do you play this matchup, man? It just feels like you are, at any point, you or your opponent can just be like, I'm going to build a bunch of roaches and attack you. Here's 6 overlords. The next set of larvae is all roaches. And then I'm going to attack. And because you decided to get +1 at a lair, you're going to die. Oh, cool. All right, sick. Great stuff. Jesus. But we do get a game 5 out of it. We do, in fact, get a game 5. Lucky us. Now let's go ahead and hop into game 5 here. We're all tied up 2 to 2, 2s across the board. Spawning in the upper left-hand corner of Ghost River, we have Talons, Dark. And he's looking mighty fine over here in the blue trunks. Now, his opponent in the upper right-hand corner, wearing the red trunks. For Team Vitality, it is Solar. I think some people might consider Solar as having the best ZvZ in Korea. Very strong in this matchup, generally speaking, but as we've seen, this matchup can be very volatile, so even the players that are quite good at it, not nearly as one-sided as some of the other mirror matchups might be if there's a player who's strong in it. Like, I feel like if somebody's really good at TVT, I expect them to win a very high percentage of TVTs. But with this matchup, it's like, yeah, I don't know, you're going to win like 52% if you're good at it. That's about it. Ghost River is an interesting map for ZvZ. I don't know if I've seen... I feel like there's a couple times I've been like, I haven't seen too many ZvZs on this map. I don't cast this matchup very often. This is actually, I would venture to say, my least cast matchup. This and TVT, for sure, are the things I see the least of. I think ZvZ is my least cast matchup, at least over the last 3-ish years. I would say this is the one I cast least of. So, certainly haven't seen too many ZvZs on these maps. I don't think I've seen a ZvZ on Ghost River yet. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. As this is a map where you don't get to choose what bases you take. I think this is the only map where there's no other potential third base option. There's no other potential fourth base option. You are forced into this expansion pattern. And it can make it easier for an aggressor to know where to hit. And especially for like a Zerg, there might be a chance that you can, you know, take a sneaky base at the other third location. Maybe if you push an Overlord away or something. I don't know. Not a possibility here on this map. Very straightforward. A big empty area in the middle as well. It'd be kind of interesting. And Dark doing something that, this is a very Dark thing to do. He's just decided, I don't want to build a Baneling nest. Because it's Dark. He's just going for the Roach Warren. Like, so I think honestly one of Dark's biggest weaknesses in general is his Ling Bane micro. Funnily enough, he did win the game of Ling Bane micro earlier against Solar. But I feel like that's something I've seen him struggle with in the past. So it's funny to see him decide, nah, I'm going to skip the Bane nest. He's just going to make a big round of Lings, try to put the pressure on while Solar defends with Banes, and then just get straight into Roaches off the back of this. Now, the problem is, Solar did scout this. So Solar knows what Dark is up to. He scouted the Roach Warren. He scouted no Bane nest. The Lings are here. The Banelings should be able to keep them at bay. And Solar is just building his own Roaches, because I think he realizes what Dark is doing, right? I think if Solar just builds a bunch of his own Roaches, he should be just fine. Yeah, Dark is he's just roaching right now. Starts up a few more Lings as well. But both players, 27 and 26 workers, just building units. God, I love ZvZ. But the fact that Solar scouted no Bane Nest and the Roach Warren back here is huge, because now he can respond in kind. As both players hit the 74. That was close to a double 74 supply block there, but we avoided it. We avoided it. Now Solar's like, hey, you haven't attacked me yet. I feel like you might be droning. I'm going to start moving across the map. Dark has not been droning. So he's got a lot of stuff over here. But Solar does have the advantage of having Banelings. That means the 42 versus 39 Lings. That's going to be very in favor of Solar, who can send these Banelings forward and potentially connect with some of those Lings. There were some Lings on the other side of the map too, but I think they're coming back in for a flank, pulling the Banelings out of position here to defend that, which means the Roaches and Lings for Dark on the front side are actually having a better time in this fight. And that was a good fight for Dark. God, the retreat is so slow and neither player has Roach speed. Oh, it's a good connection for Solar though on the Lings of Dark. Dark is still a little bit ahead in Army Supply. He has been pretty consistently ahead in Army Supply this game. But now, as Solar resupplies with Lings, the lack of Banelings here can be a real problem for Dark. He doesn't have a quick and easy answer to the Lings. He's just got to kite backwards with the slow Roaches. However, he does do that very successfully, and he's going to keep on pushing forward. Banelings coming in, getting okay connections, but not the best of connections. Solar on the back foot. Dark is starting to drone behind this. So all that pressure All that back and forth, all that building of units on 26, 27 drones. And now Dark says, okay, I'm just going to build 10 drones back at home and then go right back into roaches. And because Dark had a slight advantage, he can do that. He can actually get away with that. And now Solar has a choice to make. Do I build a few drones of my own, or do I build more units? He saw Dark running home, and he's probably guessing Dark is building some drones. Dark is continuing to drone. I think Dark needs to stop droning because Solar has not made a single drone. He's still on 26, and he's coming back across the map, and now Solar has the bigger army supply. He also could have some banelings here. I know he's got like a couple of Banes around. Not a lot, though, because he's on 26 drones, so he doesn't have a lot of money in the bank. I don't know. I like Dark's position here. He's droned up to 39. He's got a couple of spines on the way just in case. As long as he doesn't eat a huge Baneling hit, but hold the phone. We got the Lynx from the backside. Biles trying to come down. Good splits from Dark. Queen's running forward. Spine Crawler's helping out. I think Dark's got too much. I think it's going to be a very close battle, but a close battle is just going to be so good for Dark. He's got the closer reinforcements. The spines are still alive. They are getting filed down, though. One is going to fall. The second one is going to fall. But does Dark have enough roaches to hold on here? I think the answer is yes. As more roaches pop out, the Lings are coming across, but these are just +0 Lings. Solar's trying to crack through. It's so close. It's so close to Ravager Morph. Ooh, the targeting from Dark, though. He takes down that Roach anyways. But the big Link Surround again. These Link Surrounds are so good on the small numbers of Roaches. Dark, he's on 23 supply. He was so close to holding. If Solar can kill this third base, I actually think he'll be okay. He's very low drone count, but if he can kill the third, he could start up some drones back at home. This game could equalize a little bit. Solar's going to keep on pressuring, though. And Dark is just going to tap out. And just like that, we were so close. Dark was so close to holding that, just inches away. But a few of those Roaches were kind of split from each other. The Lings got great surface area. And it was just enough to overwhelm Dark. Solar he was all in. He was all in, man. 26 drones. And he did it. It worked. Solar gets to keep his title as the best ZvZ in Korea as he takes down Dark 3-2 in that best-of-5 series, winning this week's EPT Asia. GG.